Happy New Year, everyone. It's the first week of January, and I'm going to sow the garlic. You can do it, obviously in October, but I found it's just easy for me to do it like this rather than sow it direct, because it's got to face a lot of elements. So I'm using slightly bigger pots than I'd usually do. You can wait a little bit longer and sow them direct. It's just to give them a bit more time, really, to grow. Because the pots I've used in the past have been a little bit smaller than this, which have been fine. It just gives me a bit more time, because the plot being so wet, it gives me a bit more time to get up there and get things done. Plus I'm got some sort of knee injury going on, so I need to get that looked at. So I just need to be careful. So I'm just down to light duties for now, until we find out what's going on. So it's fairly straightforward, just multi-purpose compost with a bit of perlite in it, just to open it up a bit. It was quite damp in the bags. I might give it a light watering after, but it's just to encourage some root growth. It'll be slow and steady, and they'll probably be fine for 5-6 weeks. So it'll be like near the end of February. I'm hoping to get them up to the plot, and they can go in one of the beds. I've not even decided where they're going to go yet, so it gives me a bit more time. So that's the handy thing with having a polytunnel or a greenhouse. If you've got a cold frame, you can use that as well. It just gives me a little bit more protection. So you can use a dibber if you want, so just dib some holes. But I'm using the garlic that I grew last year. I can't remember how many I did last year, so I've set all these trays up to do 75, and we'll go from there. If I need any more, I can always pop a few direct, I suppose, but I'll probably not. I'll have a few left over. So I've separated, I got about 6 or 7 bulbs, and I just took the biggest off them, because I'm not going to smash a load of bulbs, because there's a big thing about, using really big bulbs, but it's homegrown stuff, so it's not going to be uniform size. If you think you're going to get uniform size in every way, you're not going to, because you don't see it when it's commercially grown. There's so much gets sort of not thrown away, but it's put to other uses and not for public sale because it doesn't look right. It still gets in your gob and chewed up at the end of the day, so it doesn't really matter. It's nice to get everything perfectly even, but it doesn't happen that way much. So you've got your simple garlic clove, and you have the bottom here, which is connected to the root plate, so you need to try and avoid damaging that. Some people, they'll snip this little top off. I find it'll burst its way through of its own accord. In a few weeks you could try and give these one a little tug if you want, and if it's got roots growing on it, you're fine. They've always been okay. You do get the odd one that won't fire, which is why I like starting them like this, and when you put them in the raised beds, you've got no misfires, if you know what I mean. So you always do a little bit more than what you need, just off the off chance. Right, so I'm just going to use my finger actually and just go with that, or it's fairly soft, so I can push these in if I want. I'll start off at this far end here. So it was a bit of a boring job filling all these pots up, so I did them a couple of days ago. And these have been out here as well, so they've had a chance to sort of get the temperature the same. I'm just going to basically, if it feels a bit hard to go down, I'll make a little hole with my finger. But it's just going to be buried so it's just below, or the tiniest bits poking above the surface of the compost. I'll bring a pot closer so you can see. You got your pot, got your garlic clove. It's nice and soft. I've not really packed it down or anything. It's just a case of pushing it in like that, and there's just a tip of it. You will find some of them will start pushing up. If that happens, there's root growth going on. So just keep nestling them down. Usually once it's been watered round, it'll hold it down. But what I've done in the past is I've sieved a bit of compost over the top of them, after a week or two. After you've watered it, it settles everything down a bit. It just stops them from pushing up. So I'll carry on with these. Put that one there, put them back over there, otherwise I'll end up with empty ones. Once you get into the sort of hang of it, it doesn't take too long. I was going to, use some of the really tiny, because obviously you do get some really small cloves. But I was going to use some of them as an experiment, which I might do, I might set my own little side experiment and get some of the tiniest cloves and see what they produce, just to see if there is much difference. But personally, I've had small bulbs off big cloves and vice versa, to be honest, in the past, so I don't tend to worry about it. I just want something that's kind of, you know, a reasonable sort of size. You know, and if you're using your own, it's kind of used to your growing environment. But try and avoid busting the bulb apart until you're almost ready to plant. So these have had, you know, 48 hours or something like that, where I took them away, you know, split them up, and then they've been out here with the compost, because garlic needs a cold to actually split and form all the cloves. And another reason why I do is it gives me a little bit more growing time, because I have a habit of getting rust, and that's the reason why I stopped growing them in the autumn through winter, because it always used to, I found it brought on the rust earlier on them for some reason, with damp conditions and that. So because I don't need the polytunnel for anything as yet, because the first thing that gets sort of planted in here after these will be things like you know, the new potatoes, first earlies. I've not even ordered any potatoes yet, so I need to have a think. I think I've got a few Swift that I've put in the shed that have sprouted. I might just use them. I think I've got about 12 or something like that. I might just pop them in a few tubs, sort of like middle of February. You know, in a few weeks, like I say, if you get any that haven't come up, or they've, you know, got damp, or there's been some sort of problem, they've not fired the odd one, you can always pop another one in. You know, sometimes you'll get one clove, but it's actually got two inside it, and you'll end up with like two green spikes growing, which is alright, you can leave it like that, but I tend to just nip one of them off, and it'll just grow as one then. If your compost is quite loamy, fairly compact, yeah, make a hole first. You know, you can actually like dip holes and drop them in the hole and fill the holes in with compost if you want. But I don't plant them too deep in pots, because it's for the root growth, so you need more underneath it. I mean, you can literally, if you want to, just sit them on the top. You know, they put roots out, because if you have a lot of compost at the top, when you come to bang them out, you'll lose a lot of that compost when you go to plant them in the ground. But I always plant them slightly deeper when they go out. They're always usually another ½ inch to an inch down when they go out. And they always, I mean, don't think about you have to get these dead straight or anything pointing up, just shove them in, because the directional light and everything, they will right themselves, they'll all come straight after a while. So there's nothing difficult really about garlic. There's lots of things about it. Don't put them in fresh manure ground. Like, yeah, fresh manure, I suppose. Well, then again, if you're top dressing something, they're not actually in contact with it, so it becomes like a slow feed release, and it's broken down on the top. You know, when the roots and everything, you know, are a few inches below. It's more a drainage thing they need. Obviously, me having a really soaking wet plot doesn't help matters, but my beds are fairly well draining, because it's not soil, if you know what I mean. It's all stuff I've taken over that's broken down, like leaves and bits of manure and straw and all sorts of stuff have gone in them beds. And your own compost is fine to put that in. So it doesn't compact the same as soil. Keeps lots of air pockets in it, because a lot of people forget, you know, they need to be able to breathe. Roots and that, so they need the moisture. You don't want it so loose that it dries out, but you want it damp enough to allow the roots to go down to find the water. Because overall, if you get a good top growth. That's all well and good if the roots can support it. This tends to some people struggle with earlier on with other seeds. You put them on the windowsill and they grow really tall and leggy, and it's just too much top, not enough root on the plant, and it's come to that many problems. They just get off to a bad start. Yeah, but once these have rooted and the tops come up, if I get an odd day where it's a bit breezy outside, I'll just put them outside for a bit. Obviously not when it's hammering it down, because I don't want to get soaking wet in these trays. I mean, if I took them out of the trays, the water could drain through. Just to kind of get them acclimatised, sort of the hardening off process. Because I don't want them to dry right out, and this polytunnel does condensate a bit, and I don't want it heavily dripping on a particular pot. I've got one left over there, but I think I've got them all. I don't want it to rot anything off, so I'll probably give these a couple of days before I'll give them a little bit of water. Because say that they'll still be damp down at the bottom. I don't want them to dry out properly, but they are the equivalent to like a really well wrung out sponge. And I'm going to, just to get a bit more protection, stop them drying out, and like I said, to stop any dripping going on, just got some lids on here. I'm keeping them closed. It's always a bit of protection in case you get a really hard frost or something. You can lay fleece over it, or newspaper, because you don't really necessarily need the light right now. But don't take them inside and start them off on the windowsill, because they don't really need it. You know, they're going to go out into the early weather in March, you know, and where I am, I think it's zone 8. Get frosts right up till mid-May. That's the garlic. Variety is Solent White, which is the same one I've grown for many years now, which a lot of YouTube gardeners grow. So that's the garlic for this year. So 5-6 weeks, take it down the plot, shove it in the ground, and hopefully mid-June, end of June, they'll be ready for pulling, and then you can follow on with a crop, you know, like any squashes or beans and things like that, or lettuce and things, or your overwintering items, you know, like your cabbages can go in. So that's that. Right, I've had quite a few requests for the sweet pea seeds, and I've seen all the emails. Sorry I've not responded to all of you, but I'm just going to I'll respond once I've sent them. I'll respond. I fully intend sending them all over the next week, because I've seeded them all. I've taken all the seeds out of the pods I had for the sweet peas, the Hilda's mix, and later on, well, this evening, I'm going to make them into like little packages. You'll get about 10 grams of seed, which is probably, there's over 100 seeds probably, I'd have thought, in each one, so there's plenty there. Obviously, once I get quite a few people, I will begin to run out. I've got quite a few already that have asked, but like I say, I'll send as many out as I can for this month of January, and then I'll cut it off, and then I'll do a video probably early February to middle of February of when I sow them. So if you want to hold on for that and see how I do them. All I've done is I've pulled about 5-6 seeds to one side. I'll probably get a few more, so I've got about 15 to go off, and I'll sow them as testers. I've never had a problem in the past, just to get a percentage of germination. Most of the time, if they're over 70%, I'm more than happy. Right, so that's it for this video. Not quite sure when the next one will be. In a few weeks, I say I need to get my knee looked at and see what the course of action is going to be for that. So probably going to be poking and prodding and surgery at some point. But, it's the gardening thing. It takes its toll sometimes, and you have to do a little but do it often, so to speak. But you know, in my sort of lifestyle, I don't get the little windows. I get a window, and I've got to do as much as I can in that window, and it's probably a knock-on effect of it. We'll just have to play that one by ear, but I'm sure I'll do the best I can this year. Hopefully, it'll be an okay year. It's just at the prep side of things, all the lugging, I might have to just go easy on that, that's all. So thanks for watching, take care, and I will see you next video. See you now, bye.